Welcome to News Beacon, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Tonight, the world finds itself at a crossroads. Global trade, once the backbone of international cooperation and prosperity, is being upended in ways not seen for decades. Alliances that have stood the test of time are now under immense strain as countries grapple with a rapidly shifting economic landscape. Uncertainty has become the new normal. Investors, business owners, and everyday citizens alike are left wondering what tomorrow will bring, as the rules of engagement are rewritten almost overnight. Former President Donald Trump's aggressive tariffs and the scrapping of long-standing trade agreements have forced key partners like the UK and Canada into a new, unpredictable reality. The ripple effects of these decisions are being felt far beyond American shores, shaking the foundations of global commerce. America First is more than just a campaign slogan, it represents a fundamental rewrite of how the United States engages with the world. This approach often comes at the expense of long-standing allies, leaving many to question the future of international cooperation. In response, some nations have scrambled to secure favorable deals, racing against the clock to protect their economies. Others have found themselves facing steep penalties and retaliatory measures, exposing just how fragile international partnerships can be when trust is eroded. A new US-UK trade deal is being hailed by some as a major Brexit victory, promising new opportunities for British businesses. Meanwhile, a major dispute with Canada and sweeping tariffs on a wide range of countries have created confusion, anxiety, and a sense of instability in global markets. All of these events are connected by a hardline negotiating style that uses economic leverage as a tool of foreign policy. The message is clear. In this new era, economic might is wielded as both shield and sword. The consequences of these policies are far-reaching. Prices for everyday goods are rising, pensions and savings are under threat, and diplomatic ties that took decades to build are now at risk of unraveling. The impact is being felt not just in boardrooms and parliaments, but in the homes and wallets of ordinary people around the world. The world is watching closely, holding its breath. Many are left wondering whether this bold new approach will ultimately strengthen the global system, or if it will unravel decades of painstaking cooperation and progress. The stakes could not be higher. With so much on the line, jobs, economies, and the very fabric of international relations, the outcome of this new era is anything but certain. The question remains, will this new era of trade tensions bring about a long-awaited balance and fairness, or will it plunge the world into chaos and division? Only time will tell, but one thing is clear, the world as we know it is changing, and the consequences will be felt for generations to come. In the UK, jubilant Brexit supporters have taken to the streets, celebrating what they see as a historic new trade deal with the United States. For many, this moment feels like a validation of their long-held belief that Britain could thrive outside the European Union. The air is thick with excitement as crowds wave Union Jacks and gather in iconic locations like Parliament Square, convinced that a new era of opportunity has dawned. Supporters claim this deal finally justifies the decision to leave the EU, arguing that it proves Britain can negotiate on its own terms and secure better arrangements than those available as an EU member. Slogans from the referendum resurface, echoing through the crowds: "Take back control" and "Global Britain." Under the new agreement, British goods now face a 10% tariff in the US, significantly lower than the 15% imposed on EU products. This difference is being hailed as a tangible benefit of Brexit, fueling claims of newfound economic independence and a competitive edge for UK exporters. British manufacturers hope this will open doors to the vast American market, boosting sales and creating jobs at home. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's government is quick to credit the flexibility gained from Brexit for making this deal possible. Ministers tout it as proof that the UK can chart its own course and adapt quickly to global opportunities. However, not everyone is convinced. Leading economists warn that while the deal may offer some short-term gains, it is unlikely to offset the significant loss of frictionless access to the EU, Britain's largest trading partner. They caution that the numbers don't add up, and the economic impact may be less positive than the headlines suggest. Politically, the agreement is being framed as a major win for the government, a symbol of Britain's new global ambitions. Yet when analysts dig into the economic data, the picture is far more complicated. The benefits appear modest compared to the costs of leaving the EU's single market, and many businesses remain anxious about the future. The deal also risks empowering populist figures like Nigel Farage, who argue that this is just the beginning of a new independent Britain. But the celebrations are not universal. The country remains deeply divided, with pro- and anti-Brexit factions clashing in the streets and online. Old wounds are reopened, and the debate over Britain's future direction intensifies. Meanwhile, EU leaders in Brussels are watching with growing alarm. They fear that the UK's success in striking a separate deal with the US could set a dangerous precedent, encouraging Eurosceptic movements in other member states and threatening the unity of the European project. The UK now finds itself caught between two giants: its European neighbors, with whom it shares deep economic and historical ties, and an unpredictable US ally, whose priorities may shift with each new administration. Navigating this new reality will require careful diplomacy and strategic vision. For British businesses, this deal is the first real test of the country's post-Brexit path. While some see immediate opportunities, others worry about long-term risks and the challenge of adapting to a rapidly changing global landscape. The stakes are high and the outcome remains uncertain. As London erupts in celebration, the mood in Brussels is somber and tense. The contrast between the two capitals could not be starker, highlighting the deep rift that Brexit has created across the continent. Around the world, headlines speculate about what this new alignment means for the future of international trade and Britain's place on the global stage. The full consequences of this bold move are still unfolding, and only time will reveal whether it leads to renewed prosperity or unforeseen challenges. One thing is clear: the UK's future is more uncertain than ever. As the country steps into the unknown, its leaders and citizens alike must grapple with the risks and opportunities of this new chapter in British history. US-Canada relations have hit a wall, marking one of the most significant diplomatic crises between the two countries in recent memory. What was once a partnership defined by shared values and mutual trust is now being tested by a single bold decision. The tension erupted after Canada, under the leadership of Prime Minister Mark Carney, took a historic step that has sent shockwaves through the international community. Carney's government announced its intention to formally recognize a Palestinian state, a move that immediately captured global headlines and set off a chain reaction among Canada's allies and adversaries alike. In response, former US President Donald Trump, a vocal critic of the decision, threatened to impose a crippling 35% tariff on Canadian goods. This aggressive stance has put billions of dollars in cross-border trade at risk, raising fears of a new era of economic uncertainty and jeopardizing future agreements that have long benefited both nations. Despite mounting pressure, Carney remains resolute. He describes the recognition as a courageous step toward peace in the Middle East, but emphasizes that Canada's support is conditional, tied to meaningful reforms by the Palestinian Authority and the holding of free, democratic elections. The announcement has drawn sharp condemnation from Israel, which views the move as undermining its security and diplomatic position. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Authority has praised Canada's decision, calling it a long-overdue acknowledgement of their aspirations for statehood. Protests and celebrations have erupted across the region, highlighting the deep divisions this issue continues to provoke. In Washington, the US government sees Canada's stance as a betrayal of a unified Western approach to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The rift between these close allies has deepened, with both sides engaging in tense diplomatic exchanges and public statements that underscore the seriousness of the dispute. This clash is not just a bilateral issue, it highlights a growing divide among Western nations over how to approach Middle East policy. As leaders gather at international summits, the cracks in what was once a united front are becoming increasingly visible, with some countries supporting Canada's bold move and others warning of unintended consequences. Carney argues that recognizing a viable Palestinian state is essential for achieving lasting peace and ensuring Israel's long-term security. He insists that only by addressing the legitimate aspirations of both peoples can the cycle of violence and instability be broken. The US, however, maintains that any recognition outside of direct negotiations is counterproductive and risks derailing the fragile peace process. American officials have reiterated their commitment to a negotiated two-state solution, warning that unilateral actions could set back years of diplomatic progress. As the diplomatic standoff intensifies, trade policy has become a powerful weapon. The threat of tariffs and economic retaliation is already sending shockwaves through financial markets, with investors and businesses on both sides of the border bracing for potential fallout. The consequences are immediate and far-reaching. Economic analysts warn of job losses, supply chain disruptions, and a chilling effect on future cooperation. Politically, both governments face mounting criticism at home, as citizens question the wisdom of escalating tensions with a trusted neighbor. With diplomatic channels strained and economic ties under threat, the future of US-Canada relations hangs in the balance. The world is watching closely to see whether these two allies can find common ground, or if this crossroads will mark the beginning of a lasting divide. Trump's sweeping new tariffs on dozens of countries have sent shockwaves through global commerce. Tariffs range from 10% to 50%, hitting countries like Canada, Switzerland, and Brazil the hardest. The rules are complex, with loopholes closed and rerouted goods facing penalties. Some nations like Mexico and Bangladesh have negotiated temporary relief, but most are scrambling to avoid the worst. The EU and India face major disruptions, and businesses worldwide are left in limbo. Trump remains defiant, insisting tariffs will rebalance trade and protect American jobs. Economists and business leaders warn of chaos and long-term damage. The world braces for the full impact of this unprecedented trade offensive. The details are unclear, and the threat of escalation looms. Global uncertainty has never been higher. Markets from New York to Tokyo plunged as Trump's tariffs sparked fears of a global trade war. Industries reliant on international supply chains, autos, electronics, apparel, saw stock values tumble. Companies warned they'll either absorb higher costs or pass them to consumers, fueling inflation. Central banks are on alert, watching for signs of economic slowdown. Commodity prices like copper have dropped, signaling fears of reduced global demand. The ripple effects hit everyone, from multinationals to small businesses. Trump calls the tariffs a success, but most economists disagree. They warn of long-term damage to America's trade relationships and global growth. The world waits, anxious for clarity. The economic consequences of this gamble are still unknown. Uncertainty is the new normal. The US-UK trade deal is a double-edged sword for Prime Minister Starmer's government. It's a Brexit win, but risks fueling populist rivals and reopening old wounds, especially in Northern Ireland. The deal could disrupt the fragile peace and create new friction with the EU and Ireland. European leaders see it as undermining EU unity and empowering Eurosceptics. The agreement is more than bilateral. It's a political event with continental implications. It introduces new competition and division into European politics. The UK's move has made Europe's future even more uncertain. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has become a flashpoint in global trade. Canada's move to recognize a Palestinian state triggered immediate US economic threats. Trump's administration uses tariffs as leverage, tying foreign policy to trade. Allies like the UK and France support recognition, deepening rifts with the US. Trade policy is now a blunt tool for enforcing diplomatic objectives. Canada defends its stance as pro-peace, not anti-Israel. The US remains firmly pro-Israel, opposing unilateral recognition. Trade routes have become new front lines in this decades-old conflict. These trade disputes hit ordinary people hardest. Tariffs act as a tax, raising prices on everything from maple syrup to electronics. Small businesses struggle to absorb costs or find new suppliers. Layoffs loom for workers in targeted countries, while farmers and manufacturers face new competition. The uncertainty strains personal and cultural ties, especially in border communities. The free flow of goods and ideas is under threat. Political decisions are creating real-world divisions. Many now feel anxious about their economic future. The impact is personal, immediate, and profound. The global order is at a crossroads. America First policies have thrown decades of cooperation into doubt. Markets are in turmoil and the threat of recession looms. Businesses can't plan and growth is stalling. The UK's deal has strained ties with Europe. Canada's stance has triggered US retaliation. The world is more fragmented, alliances more transactional. Will this lead to a fairer system or deeper instability? The old rules no longer apply, and the future is uncertain. Leaders and citizens alike must navigate these turbulent waters together.